Next we have Brittany Fearnside. She's a proud dog mom and a huge Harry Potter enthusiast.
Really good. So, the fall of 2012, I was getting ready to go on my first deployment to Afghanistan. I was going to be a part of a pretty unique program at the time. We were going to be attached to these all-male special operations units, and we were going to be the only female that would go out with them on these nighttime missions, and we would be the ones that would be responsible for the search, safety, questioning of any of the women and children that we'd come into contact with. I had seen the flyer for this program when I was stationed at Fort Hood in Texas. I was 24 years old at the time, and I thought, what an incredible opportunity. I mean, this is my chance to go out and do those great things. I was desperate to try to have that moment where I could feel that I was being physically and mentally tested. Plus, it was just a tremendous opportunity to work alongside some of those units and men that had gone through training that is unparalleled. Some of the best soldiers that we have in our profession. So, sorry, I'm forgetting my number now. The ban on women in combat was still in effect at that time, so it was a little bit of a loophole too. We recognized the fact that we were sort of missing the access to half of this population because of cultural sensitivities at the time. And so that being said, I mean, quite honestly, this was the coolest thing I could do personally and professionally at that moment. And I thought it was finally this opportunity to feel that sense of purpose. So I was excited. And to be completely transparent, absolutely freaked out. It's the fear of the unknown. I'm sure we've all experienced it. It's also a little bit of that performance pressure, understanding that we'd be under a little bit of a different lens for the fact that we were playing a very certain role in these units. And I had found out in that moment that I would be going to Kandahar. It's a region in southern Afghanistan. And at that moment in time, in 2012, it was fairly dangerous. In fact, a year before that, we had actually lost the first girl in our program in Kandahar when she walked into a building that had been purposely rigged with explosive devices. And so that excitement and that apprehension grew in parallel and lasted with me, honestly, until that very first mission, running off the back, thinking that you've absolutely landed on the moon, having no idea where you are. So a week before I left, I received an unexpected letter from one of my dearest friends and former teammates at West Point. Inside the letter, there was a beautiful note and a coin taped to it. It's just this little metal silver coin with an angel on the front of it, and the story that went with it. So, in second grade, Monica had to go up and perform the annual spelling bee. And I'm sure all of you know this, you have that second grade performance anxiety, and it was really, really tough for her to get up on stage. And so her teacher at the time pulled the coin out of her pocket. She told Monica that she had been given this coin when she was a little girl. And what it's supposed to represent to her was just a reminder that there are people out there that care about you, love you, and support you, and that it's going to be okay. And so, as you can guess, Monica got up on stage, no idea how she did in the spelling bee, but she did it. And afterwards, the teacher told her that she should keep that coin, just as that little reminder. And so Monica actually told me that she had lost it for a little while after that, probably through middle school and high school, and she found it right before she went to West Point. And she had it with her the entire time there, and she credits it with helping her get through some of those tough moments that we had. And so she felt it was time for me to have it. I was one of the first of her close friends to go over, and she wanted me to know every time that I held it that I had family, I had that support system waiting for me, and hoping that I'd be okay. And so I was never really a superstitious person. I mean, I used to be a goalie in soccer, so I'd spit on my gloves and think that was going to be okay. But I decided this was going to be my little talisman. And so I brought it with me on every single mission that I went on over there, and she was right. It became my constant reminder that I had that support system back at home. So about 2 months into it, I'd probably done over 30 missions at that point. It was a pretty high tempo, probably averaging 4 or so a week. And I'd become pretty desensitized. I'd really lost that human element of why I was there. I couldn't identify with the emotion anymore of what people were going through in those moments of chaos and confusion. It was a particularly cold January night, and we were going on a mission in Kandahar City. Decidedly urban compared to what we were used to. And it started out like many of the other ones I'd done before. Searching the women and children, making sure there's nothing that's going to harm anyone around us. Giving directions and pashtu, some of the phrases that I knew. I'm using my interpreter and we're talking to the women just to make sure we're kind of getting a better understanding of the atmosphere. And as I'm going down the line, I get to this little boy, maybe 3 years old. He's standing there in his tunic and his pants and his shaved head, his tiny little sandals. And seeing kind of how everything had progressed before, how all the interactions had gone, he's standing there like this. Sorry for the microphone stuff, you can hear me. He's standing there like this, with his palms up. And you can imagine how I looked at him in that moment. I'm 5'10", and then, I mean, you get this, right? So I'm 5'10", and I'm in full combat gear. So I've got a helmet, and these night vision goggles, and body armor, and a rifle across my chest. I look like a camouflage stormtrooper. He's got to be petrified. And the only distinguishing feature is that I had a braid to make it a little more obvious, I guess, that I was a woman. But it was nighttime, so I'm sure he couldn't see that. And he's sitting there, and the only things he has in his hands are these 2 sets of beads. And he's looking at me in that moment like, I promise you this is all I have in the world. Trust me. And I don't think he could see it. I don't think my interpreter could see it, or really any of the guys around me. But I absolutely lost it. And it was a reminder that this was a 3-year-old little boy with hopes and dreams and aspirations. He had a family that loved and cared for him. And it was a reminder to me that I had completely forgotten that, or had chosen to. So once it kind of gets quiet and we go inside, I take him aside with my interpreter, and I sit down with him, and I take off everything. You know, I take off my body armor and helmet and weapon, and I sit with him, and I pull my little coin out of my pocket, and I ask him to tell me about his beads, and I tell him about my coin, and how it brings me good luck, and how I bring it with me wherever I go. And I told him that it was, you know, this little coin was supposed to mean to him what it meant to me, that it was going to be okay, that he was going to be safe. And so that little boy was an incredibly unexpected gift at a crucial point in my deployment where I feel like I had lost myself. He showed me that you can and should care and find connection with human beings, and you can in moments where it doesn't seem possible, in incredible situations. And I certainly took that with me moving forward, and it affected every interaction I had after that, and I feel like it made me a better version of who I was when I was there. And so I thank that program for the opportunity to have had that experience, to have felt that purpose and that passion. I thank Monica for the fact that through that little medal, I was always reminded that I had support and love and care at home. And above all, I thank that little boy, because he truly tied it all together for me. Thank you.